Still says starting. There we go.
Uh, there's always that initial blurb at the first, right?
Yep.
You just can't quite
Yep.
get it right.
Now we're live.
Right. Welcome, everyone who's listening and watching today. We're excited to be here on a Google Plus Hangout, technology at its finest, right? And we have a very special guest, obviously. Peter Shankman is an amazing entrepreneur, a legend in the space, I think. When I feel like I'm relatively a newcomer in some ways, even though I've been online for many years, but in the social space, I'm at the 4-year mark. I think you've got a little bit of an edge on me.
A little bit.
Yeah, so it's amazing though to have watched and kind of from afar your success, and I just really wanted to highlight the new book, which is a Zombie Loyalist, and kind of get a feel for your passion and why you started writing this book. I know you're very passionate about customer service. I call it customer care, customer love, because I think it, online in today's environment anyway, it's important. But I'd love your take on that. Why did you? What passion did you have that you said, I got to write this book?
When Helper Reporter was acquired several years ago, I tried to figure out why it was acquired for the price that it was acquired for. And what it always came back to was the fact that the company that acquired it interviewed countless members of Harrow. And the members always said that they loved Harrow and they believed in Harrow and they were very strong about it because anytime they had any problem, they just sent an email to me and I responded immediately. And I realized that being able to drive that level of customer service, that level of customer care, is not the norm in business today. And yet, the simple act of just being a little nicer than sort of the rest of the world actually winds up generating a ton more revenue for these businesses. And think about every customer experience you've had in the last several months. It's very much about, the flight was on time. I guess it didn't suck that much, or the restaurant server didn't spit in my food. I suppose that's a bonus, things like that. That's what we expect. And so the simple act of just being a little bit more than what we expect actually drives a lot of revenue.
It's interesting you say that because I'm a firm believer in just that honey, gets you a whole lot more than vinegar does, that old saying. But, it's interesting that we've shifted, I think, from, kind of big box business back to more of a small town up to scale, more,
Right.
from the standpoint of, used to, if you lived in a small town and you had a small business and somebody said something negative about your business, it impacted you in a major way. And now we're back to that, don't you think? I mean, don't you think that?
Yeah, we're back to that for several reasons. The most important one is because the network truly understands what you are, who you are, what you're doing at a given time. It's not about leaving reviews on Yelp anymore. That's going away. It's about when you land in Los Angeles and you type in steakhouse into Google Maps shows you the steakhouses around you, but highlights the ones that your friends have had great experiences with. And you don't even need to leave a review for that to happen. It simply says, okay, the sentiment of Peter's last tweet when he was at Morton's was positive. This must be a good steakhouse for him. And then because I'm in the same network as Peter, I'm gonna trust his review. And it's all automatic, and it's happening already.
And it's interesting, too, that we don't need to know those people, right? We don't need to know that those people, even though on some level, some of those people we may know, just purely based off of,
Right.
Social relationships. But the reality is, it's the same with Amazon, right? You go to Amazon, you're going to buy something, you look at the reviews.
Well, and what we're seeing is that the people that we're getting this information from are either in our network or in a network of one of our friends or colleagues.
Yeah.
And so it's this at most second degree of communication, and because of that we trust them. It's the same reason we don't trust reviews on Yelp or TripAdvisor. Why should we? I don't know this person. He could be a shill for the restaurant, but if the person reviewing this restaurant is Marty and Marty's a friend of Jane and I'm good friends with Jane, well then by default I trust Marty.
Jay Baer he's done this little video, he started a small video series, and I just happened to tune in the other day, and it was about it was essentially about the ROI of social media and some of the things that you can't track on social media, like a purchase. He got a Christmas gift for Christmas, and it was a direct result of something somebody had told him on social media.
Hmm.
And he had just copied the link, sent it to his wife, and voila, the Christmas present showed up under the
Yep.
tree. You can't track that, but the sentiment behind that purchase was there. In other words,
Right.
that original person who recommended that
Right.
had a great positive experience with that company,
And you
right?
can't track sentiment. That's the key.
Absolutely,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
I think businesses need to understand that because, they spend so much time fixing problems once they hit Twitter or once they hit Facebook. My question to them is, why aren't you fixing your customer service as a whole so that those problems never do hit Twitter or Facebook? And
Absolutely.
then the only things that hit Twitter or Facebook are positive experiences.
Well, that I've often heard people say that if you just took care of the customers you had, you would
You'll
have
get the
way more
customers you want.
customers, right?
That's my tagline is be awesome with the customers you have and you'll get all the customers you want.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty interesting, I think. Well, tell me a little bit about where is the book for sale right now on
Book comes
Amazon?
out on January 27th.
Okay.
The launch party is January 29th. If the people watching this lovely hangout send me an email at peter@shankman.com, I'll pick one person and give them an invite if they're in New York to come to the launch party. It's sponsored by GoGo with Flight. It comes out January 27th. It's going to be pretty big. We have several multi-thousand advance orders already. I'm excited for it. It's a good. I think this is my best book. This is the fourth one I've written, and I really believe this is the best one I've written.
Well, that is awesome. Being a new author myself, I'm congratulations. That's amazing.
Well, and being able to
Yeah,
use the word zombies in a title is always good, no matter what you're writing about.
absolutely. Well, let me, I think a lot of people struggle with the concept of customer care, customer service. And what do you think is at the root of starting a great customer care program for a business of any size, whether they're an entrepreneur, a small business, or a Fortune 500 company?
I think that the number one thing that you find is that people tend to explore customer service as an afterthought. And the problem with using it as an afterthought is that you don't have the ability to fix problems before they become problems. If you rely on customer service as an afterthought, then you have to fix the problems after they become problems. If you focus on customer service prior to them becoming problems, you usually avoid them. A perfect example is I had an experience with Hertz where in the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, five Hertz employees, all had the ability to fix my problem in real time. None of them did. And by the time I left Hertz without a car and went over to Avis, they had lost me for life. And it blew up, and I wrote a blog post about it, and the whole thing. Five different employees could have fixed my problem and kept me as a customer, but none of them had the empowerment to do so. None of them had the ability to make decisions on their own. And so customer service has to be about empowerment, and you have to be able to empower your employees to say, you know what, you're not going to get fired if you try and save a customer, if you try and fix a problem. You'll get fired if you don't.
That's a great point because so many employees today are afraid to take that step. Nobody said you can do this, you can fix this problem. You are, and you have the authority. That's the word that I hear a lot. You have the authority to fix this problem. So they're scared. That's a great point in the sense that I think every company that steps into the social or customer care, whether it's social or not, needs to have some sort of an escalation policy. Would you agree with that?
I would, and it's a shame, because so many people don't bother the simple acts, the simplest little things. The hey, you look like you're having a bad day. Here's a free drink. The smile. The wow, that sounds like a really tough conference call you're on. Let me see what I can do for you. The simplest things in the world we don't fix. And let's face it, any customer that buys from you or anything, if they come into your store, if they go online, if they use your service, they have a problem that they're hoping you can fix, whatever that problem is. And if you can do that, and you can do that with empathy, they'll love you forever. And I sit here and I say this to you, and we're both smart people, and we think, well, why doesn't everyone know that? This is common sense. It is common sense, but common sense in business really isn't that common.
Yeah. And you just said something I think is so important. It's amazing how many people don't realize that it's just the small things. It doesn't, everybody's like, well, customer care, it has to be this massive, big thing. But sometimes it's just that care, literally, the smile, go the extra mile. Hey, do you need a napkin on a plane? It's the small things that make the biggest difference. And I've often said this, that people don't care if you screw up near as much as if you don't fix it.
Well, that's the
So
thing. We don't expect everyone to be perfect. God knows
yes,
you're going to
correct.
screw up, and that's fine. But when you screw up, own it immediately. Get in front of
Yeah,
it. Fix the
yeah,
problem. Say, hey, you're not going to do it again, and there's no greater lover in the world than a former hater.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What do you think should be a part of the process for developing and empowering employees? I mean, don't you think there's a little bit of a training process? I mean, I know there's a training process from the standpoint of, the things that you do along the process, through the process of an individual business to serve a customer or a client. But do you also believe that there is a piece that ties in that empathy? That, I mean, you can't make people care,
Well,
but
there
do
has to
you
be.
believe that there are certain things that you can train your employees to do that stand out from a customer love standpoint?
If you look at if you look at Ritz-Carlton, for instance, Ritz-Carlton doesn't hire people that can fold bed sheets. They hire people who have the ability to show empathy and
Mhm.
who are people, essentially, for lack of a better word. They hire people who help people who work for people who want to help people. Their tagline is for all of their employees is ladies and gentlemen helping ladies and gentlemen, or serving ladies and gentlemen. We tend to hire people because they can do a job, and we don't necessarily think about their forward-facing attitude. I'm much more the belief that I'd rather hire someone who has the ability and the skills to be a good person first, and then they can be taught how to make hospital corners or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I've heard that same concept from the sense hire, don't worry about the skill set. You can train the skill set.
Exactly.
Hire character,
Exactly.
it's essentially the same thing.
No question.
And, it's interesting to me from a social standpoint, how do you think that, I think you said earlier something that I thought was really relevant in the sense that, having a core customer service program in place helps eliminate a lot of the customer service issues because you're stepping into that space and you're serving that customer or that client. But what happens? What do you think in social? Most people, if they want to complain about a brand, they go on Twitter for the most part. I mean, Facebook certainly gets their fair share, and I guess every platform does, honestly. But I hear more complaining and more voice, I think, on Twitter. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I think the issue is, you have all these companies out there now who use Twitter as sort of, oh, well, we'll just monitor Twitter, and when there's a problem, we'll fix it. Again, I offer the concept of maybe if you can train for better customer service, then you don't have to monitor Twitter as much because there won't be as many problems. My town, I live in New York City, and we have the greatest fire department in the world. And I know that if my building ever catches on fire, that fire department will be there to put out the fire. But wouldn't it be better if our building just didn't catch on fire in the first place?
Yeah, right. It's a great point. As it relates to customer care, and again, from a social standpoint, do you recommend a certain tool or maybe even a few tools for people who are out there trying to listen to what people are saying?
I love that question because that's like asking you, Kim, tell me if I like orange or the number 4.
Hmm.
You can't answer that. I can't tell any employee or any customer or any company what tool they should use. They need to understand their audience first and foremost. I can tell you use Twitter, and if none of your audience is on Twitter, then you're wasting time. So the best thing you can do is listen to your audience, ask them, hey, how do you like to get your information? There are people out there who still like to receive their information via press release. I think there are 4 of them. In the entire world, and if you have those 4 as your audience, you better be issuing a press release. If your audience is on Twitter, be there. If it's on Facebook, be there. But you have to know where it is, and that starts with talking to your audience first and saying, hey, how do you guys like to get your info? How can we better serve you? And that comes down to better customer service, where you simply say to the customer on a random, hey, we're not trying to sell you anything, just saying hi. How can we improve?
Hmm.
And when you do that, you have a much better ability for the customer to say, wow, he really wasn't trying to sell me anything. You know, when I ran Harrow, once a month we'd have Harrow one-question surveys, and that's exactly what they were. They were one question: should we do this or that? And majority ruled, and we did it. And then we'd spend the weekend emailing everyone who said do this, saying, hey, FYI, we're taking your advice, and starting Monday we're doing this. And people felt empowered. Wow, they listened to me. Look at that. They're doing what I asked them to. This is the greatest thing ever. And it was sort of that wake-up call where they understood they really do listen. And it's amazing what happens when people feel like you really listen to them.
Well, I totally agree. You made that's an excellent point. Knowing where they are and engaging with them where they are, for sure, your ideal customers. I also love something you just said that I think is, and I want to highlight it because I think it's a tip that absolutely any business owner could leverage immediately. You know, sometimes when you listen to, interviews like this, you're like, okay, well, that all sounded great, but, how do I implement something in my business? And you said something I thought is something that each and every one of us should go out and do immediately, and that is, have literally, maybe you do it once a month. I love that concept because then you're not inundating people with, things every week or whatever, but once a month, maybe once every couple of months, poll your audience with just a simple question, not 10 of them. One question, say, should I do this?
You don't even have to do a poll. Sometimes you could just reach out to your customers, email them. Hey, Mark, you haven't bought from us in a couple months. I just wanted to say hi, see if we could do anything better. Not trying to sell you anything, just wanted to see what you'd like us to do better. How can we improve? How can we improve for you? I find that the question, how can we improve for you, works tremendously for companies talking to customers, and also works great when I'm trying to talk to my wife. If I start my conversation off like that, it tends to make the argument go a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. It's funny because I am a big proponent of that. Lead with value without the expectation of reward, and just asking and saying, how can I serve you versus being all about what's in it for you. So I love that you highlighted that. And let me ask you, because I know that a lot of people are probably, I personally would love your input on this, and I would speculate that other people would love an answer to this too. Just give us 2 or 3 examples of companies that you think are doing it well on social today.
On social, I mean, look around. The ones doing it the best are the ones that are active, the ones that are actually actively responding, who are, more importantly, whose customers and whose clients are saying nice things on their behalf without them needing to do it. JetBlue is a great example. Whenever JetBlue does something, they have tremendous, the amount of people that talk about them skyrockets. And they try to respond and say thank you. Morton Steakhouse does it well. They respond to everyone. They talk. They listen. Hale and Hardy Soups, a little soup company, does it well. They listen when people are cold, and they might tweet out, there's no heat in my office. I hate this place. Well, where are you? Maybe we can send you some warm soup. Or, places all over the world that do that. Come and Go is a little, it's a 7-Eleven type store in the Midwest, gas station and like gas and sip type thing, and they are probably some of the most active people on social you'll ever meet in their lives, and their fans are rabid. They have these rabid fans, these zombie loyalists to a gas station convenience store. It really gives you some idea about how this works. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, obviously, I mean, you mentioned, I agree, JetBlue's great. We all hear Zappos all the time. Zappos is, everybody talks about how awesome Zappos is. But I think you said something else that I would just really like to highlight, and that is, just engaging, just talking back to your audience. It's amazing how many brands or business owners don't do that. They're just waiting for the shoe to fall, right? They're just waiting for a customer service problem to pop up before they ever, actually step up, and some of them don't even do it then. So I think it's really, I'm big on that myself. It's a huge piece of, I think, success and being authentic. Everybody talks about that word, but that's really what it boils down to at its root, is just being human and real and stepping into that conversation.
The problem with authenticity is it's not something that can be faked. By its very nature, the term authenticity means it can't be faked. And in order for it not to be faked, it needs to be a mantra within the company. It needs to start at the CEO and work all the way down. And if it doesn't, you're gonna have a bad time. And if there's something blocking that authenticity, you're going to have a bad time. And so at the end of the day, you need to make sure that from the CEO all the way down to the guy who cleans the floors and everyone in between, that they have pride in what they're doing, that they truly love what they're doing, they truly want to be helpful to their audience and to their customers, and that they take a great satisfaction in doing their job. as opposed to, because like I said, we're all used to the concept of, yeah, can I take your order? No smile, no thank you, no nothing, as opposed to the person, and when the person cares, you see that, you feel that as he's doing something as simple as taking your order, you feel that, and that just inherently improves the process.
Well, it's so funny because that's the core of my book, from top to bottom. You just said it very succinctly. It's, will the real you please stand up? And it from an entrepreneur to a small business owner to major corporations, it's a struggle for so many of them to showcase that authentic piece of their business. And especially on social media, it's I don't know what it is about it. It's like there's just like this block. They get on social and they're like, they're real in life. Why can't they translate that
I think people are afraid
online?
to be. Yeah, and that's a shame because I remember when online banking first started. 90% of people, oh, I'd never give my banking
Yep.
details out on the internet. And, it's a matter of time, and it's a generational thing. And what you find is that the people who are good enough and who are transparent and authentic in real life tend to have an easier time shifting over. The people who tend to hide things don't.
That is so true. Well, I have a couple more questions for you, and one is, what do you think should happen when you screw up and you've got some fallout, because
You gotta own it.
that happens.
You gotta own it immediately. I mean, look at my favorite story highlighting that is on one side you have Elliot Spitzer, and on the other side you have Anthony Weiner. Elliot Spitzer was busted, stepped down, and within 2 days had apologized and was out of the country. You couldn't find him; he was gone, and the story died. On the other hand, you had Anthony Weiner, who he was a lock to be the next mayor of New York. There's no question about it. All he had to do was own it. I screwed up. I was trying to have some sexy time with my wife. I don't know how to use Twitter. My bad. Instead he makes it a 6-week debacle. I must have been hacked, and this is a political job. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, they hacked your zipper. How did that work? And he made this huge thing into something that didn't have to be a huge thing, and it basically ruined his career. He'll be lucky to be the most popular history professor at the University of Arkansas. All he had to do was own it, and he'd be mayor right now. So, when you screw up, and you're going to screw up, own it, get in front of it, apologize, explain how you're going to fix it, and move on. People love to forgive you, but you have to ask for it first. Look at any celebrity. Look at who plays Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr.
Downey Jr.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
The guy was a washed up drug addict whose career was over, and now he's like one of the most important people in Hollywood. He asked for forgiveness, he got it, and he made himself better. Every company should take a lesson from that.
That's such an excellent point. It's interesting too. I said it earlier. People don't mind nearly as much when you screw up. We all screw up. I mean, there's not a business out there that hasn't screwed up. And even on a personal level, we screw up. So we get that concept. And I'm also a big proponent of owning it, and and I think transparently. Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Open. Just to see who's still listening, first person to tweet with the hashtag zombie loyalists gets an invite to the book launch party on the 29th. Go.
There you go. I love that. It's interesting, like I said before, it's that the title of your book is so catchy, for one thing. Zombie Loyalist. I'm going to showcase it again. Can you give us a little bit of perspective on the book title? How does it tie into the overall theme of the book? Because when you first see it, people might not understand the context. So I'd love to give the context.
Everyone has that one friend who loves going, like, let's say, to the Olive Garden, right? You're at work and say, hey guys, you want to go to lunch? Yeah, let's go to the Olive Garden. There's that one guy, right, who just loves he is a zombie loyalist for the Olive Garden. For whatever reason, he's had a great experience, and his only goal in life, is to bring other people with him to his favorite restaurant. Okay, the same way that some people are zombie loyalists for a certain airline or a certain restaurant or a certain business or whatever, all they want to do is bring their friends there and convert others. People are zombie loyalists for Macintosh, for Android, whatever the case may be. They're zombies. The same way a zombie's only purpose in life is to feed, right? Brains, need brains. Zombie loyalists are the same way for their business. Their only purpose is to bring people to your business. So you need to by creating zombie loyalists for your business, you're creating an army of people who will go out and do your PR, do your advertising, and do your marketing for you. I mentioned in the book a lot, I mentioned the term brains, which stands for bring random amazement into normal situations. And if you can do that, you create zombie loyalists every single day. And it could be the simplest little thing. Bringing random amazement into a normal situation could be something as simple as, here, I upgraded your soda from a medium to a large. Enjoy.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like you see these stories on social sometimes where, you know, they're going through the Starbucks drive-through and they get to the window and the car in front of them paid for them, right? It doesn't take much, you know, to do exactly. It's just like if you're, you know, if you're at working at McDonald's, for example, and you do just something as simple as what you just said, upgrade somebody
And
from.
the problem is that the giant corporations usually don't let their employees do that. Corporations have to start trusting their employees more.
Absolutely.
The benefit from, there's a bar, a coffee shop on the Lower East Side of Manhattan that every employee has the ability to give out a discount of anywhere from 10 cents to like 75 cents based on whatever they choose. So, you know, every morning people line up just to see what discount they'll get. Nice ass discount, great smile discount, it's Thursday discount, whatever it is. And people love this. They're Pinterest boards dedicated to showing the receipts. Look, I got a nice ass discount. You know, the amount of money that this company makes just by allowing their employees to do that is through the roof.
And it's interesting because people love that, right? People love that connectivity, they love that relatability, and they love that newness because it's totally new. I mean, that doesn't happen in every business today. It's unique, it showcases care, and people are eating it up. It's like, you know, people will actually pay more for stuff like that. If your product or service is showcased in that environment,
no question.
They'll absolutely pay more. Don't you agree?
Yeah, no question about it. And I do it all the time. I mean, I could easily get I could probably get cheaper flights, but I'm a loyalist to United. I'm a zombie loyalist to United Airlines, so I will go out of my way to fly them.
Yeah.
You know, it's simply, you know, the difference between a steak at Morton's and a steak at Peter Luger's probably isn't that major, but I appreciate the experience at Morton's, so I go back to that.
Well, I have a challenge for you.
Yeah.
What can we do to give away one more book?
Let's give away one more book.
That's unique.
It is, indeed. If you go to facebook.com/zombieloyalists, go to the Zombie Loyalists fan page on Facebook and post your greatest customer service experience of late. I'll pick one experience and I'll get in touch with you and I'll send you a book once it comes out on the 26th.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I have so enjoyed talking with you today, Peter, and I wish you the best of luck with your book. It's awesome. Frankly, I'm into about the fourth or almost through with the fourth chapter. So
right.
I'm digging in. You know, it's funny. I had in the middle of my own book launch. It launched just a couple of days ago, so I haven't had as much time as I wanted to get through it. But it's an awesome book. Highly recommend it to anybody. And you know, just a couple of things that we talked about today are things you can run out and do immediately.
And it'll generate revenue. It'll improve your revenue. No question about it.
Absolutely, totally agree. So good luck. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Take care.
All right. Bye bye.